In this video, we want to look at financial mathematics. We want to specifically understand simple interest and compound interest. Now let's create a story. Let's say you go to the bank and you borrow 500 rands from the bank. You obviously have to pay them back their 500 rand. But you're not only going to pay them 500 rand, you will pay them back with a little bit extra, let's say 200 rand. So in total, you go to the bank, you borrow 500 rand, and some time passes and you're going to pay them back 700 rand. The little bit that you pay extra, it is called interest. So the 200 rand in our story is called interest. Now the interest that you would have to pay back the bank is determined by how long you take to pay them back. The longer you take to pay them back, the more the interest is going to be. Okay, and it's also influenced by the type of interest rate that you are given. So when you go to the bank can say, here you go, here's 500 rand and we are going to charge you simple interest, or here you go, here's 500 rand and we will charge you compound interest. Now this is usually, the interest rate is usually given as a percentage, like 5% interest or 5% compound interest. All right, so you have to understand that there are two types of interest. There's a simple interest, which has this formula, and there's a compound interest which has that formula. Now let's understand the letters that are in the formula. So as you can see, we have an A. What is the A? Now the A is the accumulated amount. It's the add up amount, accumulated amount. In our story, we have to pay back the bank 700 rand after some time. So that's the accumulated amount. 700 rand is the money at the end. And P is the present. We call that the present amount, or the money in the beginning. So when we went to the bank initially, they gave us 500 rand. So that's our P. Now, N is going to be the number of years, right? So for both formulae, N is the number of years. So if I say we take 2 years, so N will be 2. If you say 3 years, then N will be 3. Right. Then I is going to be the interest rate. So let's write it down. I is the interest rate. But not just an interest rate given in percentage format. It is the interest rate as a decimal. So you want to take that 5% divided by 100 to go back to decimals. So in this case, it will be 0.05. So these are all the values. And it's very clear with any equation in mathematics, if you know 1, 2, 3, and I is the only letter you don't know the value of, you can use the formula or the equation and solve for I. So if you don't know the A value, but you know the P, the N, and the I, you can use the formula to solve for A, depending on what type of interest you are given. Now let's compare a little bit more about the simple interest and compound interest. The conclusion here is that simple interest grows faster in the beginning than compound interest. But in the long run, compound interest will grow exponentially faster than simple interest. So if I were to draw a graph here, let's say we borrowed our 500 rands. So this is the accumulated amount versus the number of years, or how long you take to pay back the loan. So simple interest will grow in a linear fashion like so. So let's say that this is 1 year, and this is 2 years, and this is 3 years, and that is 4 years, etc., etc. Let's say here at the end, let's make it like 10 years, right? So if you take 1 year to pay back the loan, and this is simple interest, you might have to pay 600. So you're adding 100. From 1 year to 2 years, you need to add another 100, 700. Because if you are charged simple interest and the money grows by 100 rand, it's going to grow by 100 rand every single year. Okay, so we know that in the third year you will pay 800, in the fourth year you will pay 900. This is just simple interest. So with the SI simple interest, this is how your money, the money that the interest rate, okay, not the interest rate but the interest, this is how the interest will be determined. So if you take 3 years to pay back, you would have to pay back the loan or the bank 8 years, right? But then now the compound interest. So if you are charged compound interest, it starts off slow, okay? Starts off slow, okay, let's draw it like this. Starts off slow, and then it just goes exponentially high like that. So we'll say that after 1 year, you have to pay more or less 550. So if you went to the bank and you were charged simple interest and you pay them back in 1 year's time, simple interest, you have to pay them 600, which is more than if the bank gave you compound interest and after 1 year you would have to pay them 550. So we say that simple interest grows faster. The interest will grow faster if you are charged simple interest for a very short time, but there will be a point where the compound interest will catch up to the simple interest, and then from then on, the compound interest will grow exponentially faster. So if you can check here, 4 years time, in 4 years time, simple interest, you'd have to pay. So if the bank said, here you go, here's your 500 and please pay us back in 4 years time, in 4 years time, simple interest, you'd have to pay 900 rand. But then if the bank said, here you go, here's your 500, pay us back in 4 years time, and we are charging you compound interest, you'd have to pay like a very, very huge amount. Somewhere here, which is going to be like 1,000, 1,002, 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,002, round about 1,250. That's how much you would have to pay. So we can say that in the long run, compound interest, that interest, remember the money that you have to pay extra, interest is going to be a lot more, grows a lot faster. Right, so let's do some examples and let's learn how to work with the formulae. They say example number 1, 5,000 rand is invested in a bank. Now, when you invest, that means that is going to be your money. You are growing your money. So as you will see now with the calculation. So if you go to the bank and you invest this money, you expect something more than 5,000, right? Calculate the accumulated amount after 3 years, right? So this money that you invest is the P, the present amount. This is the amount in the beginning of the story. And calculate the accumulated amount. So the accumulated amount is just the A. So you are looking for the A after 3 years. And if the interest rate, this is I. If it is this, number A is 3.75% per annum simple interest. So if I solve for this question, number A, I will use the simple interest formula because they gave me which type of interest? Simple interest. So 1 plus IN. Then I say, therefore, A is what I'm looking for. The P is going to be the 5,000 that we were given. 1 plus the interest is this one. You need to divide it by 100 to get 0.0375. Multiply by the number of years, which is 3. Then we are going to put that into the calculator. And you remember, this is money that we're talking about. So the answer must be in rands. So you say 5,000 plus 0.0375 multiplied by 3. We get an answer of 5,500. So let's write it down. 5,562.50 50 cents. And then number B, if I had to solve for that, I would need to use the compound formula because they say Compound interest. What type of interest is this? So it's very important you understand what type of interest you are given, because that will tell you which formula you need to use. A is equals to P 1 plus I to the power of N. Therefore, we know that our A is what we are looking for. P is 5,000. Bracket 1 plus the I is 0.0375 to the power of 3. So we're going to punch this out into the calculator, and we are going to work out what is the accumulated amount. So we get 5,500. So we put 5,583,86. As you can see, the compound interest, well, you make a little bit more money than the simple interest. So 3 years is a bit of a long time. And given that the interest rates are the same, compound interest will always make you more money. Number 2. So number 2 is the exact same question. They say 5,000 Rand is invested in a bank. Calculate using the appropriate formula the accumulated amount which we have. Because look at the interest rates that are given. They're the same, simple interest and that. So number A, I will say the accumulated amount was calculated to be 5,562.50. For number B, the accumulated amount was calculated to be 5,583.86. We did calculate that. Now, they also want something else. They say, what is the total interest received? So how much interest did both investment make? So to work out the interest, you need to say interest. It is the accumulated amount minus the initial, the present, the P value. So therefore, the interest is going to be 5,562.50 minus 5,000, because these are the values here. Then you say I is going to be 562.50, and make sure you put your rands. I will do the same thing this side. I write down the formula to calculate the interest. Then I say the interest in our situation will be 5,583.86 minus 5,000. And you say that I is going to be in rands, which is 583.86. And this is how you would work out your interest. Number 3, 5 years ago, a certain amount of money was invested in a bank, right? So we know that the 5 years ago, that's going to be our N. So you must make sure you spot all the 4 letters, your A, P, I, and N. So we have our N, and a certain amount of money was invested. So the P that was invested at the time, the money that we started with, we don't know it. A certain amount, it's P, that's something we don't know. We probably have to calculate that. The value of the investment is now the A, 200,000. Calculate the original amount that was invested, hashtag the P. If the interest rate, so we are given again an interest rate of 5% per annum, simple interest. 5% per annum, compound interest. So for number A, no doubt you're going to use the simple interest formula. You start by writing it down, then you substitute. We know that A is 200,000 because our investment is worth 200,000. P you don't know. 1 plus the interest is 0.05 multiplied by 5 years. Now we have to solve for P. Now we use our algebra skills. We say P multiplies the bracket. So if the bracket multiplies on the right hand side, it will divide on the other side. So then 200,000 divided by 1 plus 0.05 multiplied by 5, that's going to give us P. The bracket must divide on the left hand side of the equation. So then I'm going to write my equation from the other way around. I'll start with the P, then I'll write the equals. Now I want the answer to all of this. So remember, it'll be in rands. So let's just put that into our calculators. What is 200,000 divided by the bracket of 1 plus 0.05 multiplied by 5? That gives us 160k. So you put down 160,000, 160k. So that's the present amount that you must have started with. Now B, for B, we're going to use the compound interest because we were told this is compound interest. 1 plus I to the power of n. Our A is going to be the 200,000 that we now our investment is worth. P 1 plus, then the I is going to be 0,05. We know this from the side. We've already worked everything out. To the power of 5, then we say P is equals to 200,000 divided by 1 plus 0,05 to the power of 5. So then we have our P now. So the P in rands is going to be the very same thing, except the 5 is not multiplying the interest rate. The 5 years is now an exponent, which we get 105,605,23. Right. Question number 4. So in question number 4, they say Ntando has just opened a small business and takes out a loan to provide for the initial startup costs. So Ntando is looking for capital, startup cost capital. She agrees to pay or to repay the loan in 4 years. 4 years, we have 4 years, that must be our aim. So she takes money now and she's going to pay back after 4 years. 4 years later by means of a payment of, so this is the total amount Ntando is going to pay after 4 years. So that's going to be the A, because she would take out the loan now, she has to pay back the loan, and after 4 years she will, if she pays 1,200,000, that means that that's the accumulated amount of the loan. The bank charges her an interest rate, that's the I, of 18% per annum, compounded annually. So when they say compounded annually, they just mean that you must now use the interest, the compound formula. So we say A is equals to P bracket 1 plus I to the power of n. This is what we're going to use. What was the amount that she originally borrowed? So that's the P. Now I say 1,200,000 in the place of A. P we don't know. We say 1 plus 0,18 to the power of 4. Again, P is going to be 1,200,000. Divide that whole thing by the bracket of 1 plus 0,18 to the power of 4. So then P in rands is going to be 1,200,000 all over 1 plus 0,18 to the power of 4. And we have 618. So 618,946,65. How long would it take for an investment of 4,000? So you invested 4,000, that's your P, to increase by 5,000. So your A is going to be the 40,000 that you put in plus the 5,000, which is 45,000. So you wanted to increase by 5,000. So the accumulated amount is going to be 45,000. If the interest rate is 4.5% per annum, simple interest. So I use A is equals to P bracket 1 plus I n. Then we say, well, we do know this is 45,000 is equals to P. The P is 40,000. 1 plus the interest is 0,045 multiply the n. How long is what we are looking for. So that's the n. It's unknown. Now we have to solve for n. So I'm going to take the 45,000 and I'll divide it by the 40,000, because the 40,000 is multiplying on the right side, on the left side it will divide. I can cancel out the zeros and I say 1 plus 0,045 multiplied by n. Now the 1 is to go to the other side, so does this have to go to the other side as well. And my final answer, I'm going to round it off to a whole number. So I'll say I have now 45 over 40 minus 1, because the 1 is positive this side, it will be minus on the other side, is equal to 0.045 in. Then I'm going to find the answer to this in my calculator right now. We punch 45 over 40 minus 1. I get 1 over 8. That 1 over 8, you just say divide by 0.045. And that gives us a value of 2,77777. I'll just run it off to, say, 3 years. I run it off to 3 years. So that's 2 years with some months, but let's just run it off to 3 years because our n is the number of years. 6. Sam invests 18,000, so we know that's the P. The money that they invested is the P. And it grows to 25,000, that's the A, over a period of 2 years. So you have all these three things. You need to calculate the interest rate, which is the I. So it's the I that you want to work out. If number A, it was all right, so you need to calculate the interest rate to 1 decimal. So you just make sure you round off to 1 decimal. If the investment earned simple interest, so you're gonna go A is equals to P bracket 1 plus I to the power I times N. Then the A value is 25,000. So in the place of the A, I put 25,000 is equal to 18,000. 1 plus the interest is what we are looking for. The N is going to be the 2. Then we are solving for I. Take that to the other side. You have 25,000 all over 18,000, because the 18 times this side, on the other side it will divide. Plus 1 plus I times 2. Then you take that to the other side. You get 25,000 over 18,000. I could just remove those zeros as well. Minus 1 is equals to I times 2. Now, listen again. I'm just going to do this calculation in the calculator. You go 25 over 18 minus 1. And you get your answer. It's going to be 7 over 18. Now, that 7 over 18 still has to be divided by the 2. The 2 that is times in the I. So you say divided by 2, and you get your answer as 0,19444444444. You need to multiply that by 100 so that you get 19. The reason you multiply it is that we know that our I is always substituted as a decimal. So if you get 0,1944444, that's the decimal. You times it by 100 to go back to percentage. So you're gonna get 19,4%. Right. Number B, or question B. So we have A is equals to P bracket 1 plus I to the power of N. Then for the 25,000, we put it there. And then we say this is going to be the 18,000. 1 plus I, and the exponent is 2. Therefore, what we're going to have is 25 over 18 is equals to bracket 1 plus I to the power of 2. Now, we need to get rid of this exponent 2. So I will introduce a root this side. So I'll square root this side and square root that side. That helps us to get rid of this 2 and the brackets. So I will say then, I continue. I have the square root of 18 of 25 over 18 equals to 1 plus I. The 1 has to subtract this side. So I say 25 over 18 minus 1. Make sure the 1 is outside the root, is equals to I. Then now I'm going to punch all of that into the calculator. I will get an answer that is a decimal. So 25 over 18. Make sure in your calculator you put the root. You put the -1 outside the root as well. You should get 0,178511302. That is your interest as a decimal. We times it by 100 and we round it off to one decimal to get 17,9%.